So I'll start with my favourite one at the moment, and that is the inner west of Melbourne. Just to be transparent, there's really no bargains left at all in this market. There was a few months ago. They are all gone now. Flippers are coming back in a big way in this market. No surprises there. There are a lot of cottages that are very easy to develop. Properties located near village town centres doing exceptionally well, and also large family dwellings are doing well. So it's not only the village and town centres, but they are doing well, but your good family dwellings also away from them are doing well as well. Just has to suit where you're buying. Accessibility and facilities are driving great rental growth as well. People, if they can get to where a good lifestyle triangle is, the distance it takes to go to work, to school, and lifestyle precincts and back home, if that number's short, it is driving tenants crazy in Melbourne. Price points in the West below $1 million are very hot. It's very hard to pick up a good dwelling under $1 million now. There are still some, but not the same quality that was a couple of months ago. There's been some very strong opportunities, results in Yarraville, West Footscray and Braybrook. So I've seen properties sell well above $1 million in Braybrook, $2 million in Yarraville and above 1.5 in West Footscray recently. That trend is going to continue and only get higher. But this is why flippers are back in the market. There's great opportunities in properties that need work. So plenty of properties that need just simple, painting, maybe just redo the flooring. You could even just do floating floorboards. You could do possibly vinyl flooring and maybe a paint range hood, maybe as well change a cooker. Very simple jobs. All of that stuff really is, I'd say, quite easy to do, and they're good opportunities still in the inner west. So that's my summary of the inner west market in Melbourne at the moment. Let's get into the inner city. Strong demand from high-end professionals, many interstate buyers in this market, particularly from Sydney. Again, there's no surprises here. This is right next to all the jobs, the inner city, especially the white-collar, higher-end jobs. And a lot of Sydney-siders are looking at it now because comparative suburbs like Paddington in Sydney are like $3.5 million, and you can pick these up for like 1.5 or even less sometimes. Large interior dwellings doing well, and off-street parking dwellings are selling for $250K plus more. So the inner city is actually very hard to have an off-street park. So if your dwelling has one, they're generally selling for at least $250,000 more now. It sounds crazy, but it's just what is going on kind of there as well. Plenty of potential for upside through cosmetic renovations. A lot of these homes here are structurally very sound. They're very, very well built, stood since generally the 1890s to early 1900s, and nothing really goes wrong with them if they're maintained. So a lot of your older people that sell them, that you can pick ones up that need a bit of work, but they're very good in saying that. Strong sales in both Clifton Hill and Fitzroy North. There's some very, very big sales here, going for well over 2.5 million, some for even more, and that's going to continue as well. Opportunity in neighbouring suburbs, and particularly strong demand in under $1.2 million, under $1.2 million range. So, there are neighbouring, I'd say, bridesmaids here that will do quite well. And especially if you can pick it up under 1.2, you're going to do very well here as well. So that's where we're at. There is a lot of demand here as well, again, but that's the inner city market. Let's get into the inner east. So, I wrote this as eastern suburbs in my property clock, but I'm really talking about the inner east. So that's really kind of, I'd say, probably Kew down to probably, should I say, Hawthorn East / Kooyong out to probably Burwood and up to, I'd say, probably the outskirts of Box Hill, sort of Blackburn there. That's probably the furthest you call the inner east. It's probably Box Hill is the max. The market really is past the 6 o'clock mark, and it's moving towards a stronger market. So money is flowing back into here, and it's because the strong demand from established families close to prestigious schools, and particularly it is very underpriced compared to comparable Sydney and Brisbane suburbs. So Sydney suburbs in the inner east here would be like $4 to $6 million. In Brisbane, it would probably be 2 to 3 now, a comparative suburb of most inner east suburbs I'm talking about here. Now, in saying that, these have a long way to go, and historically, a lot of these suburbs have done 9.5 to 10% growth. Some have even done above 10, to give you an idea. There's quite good opportunity in bridesmaid suburbs surrounding the higher end. So where I'm talking about really is the ones that surround particularly your top end of these markets, particularly your Deep Dean, Camberwell, Canterbury, those sorts of markets, and you can name a few others as well. And it's because there's been strong performance in Balwyn and Hawthorn East. Now, I was speaking about Hawthorn East about 6 months ago, saying there's very, very good opportunities in that market. For everyone that didn't listen, you have missed at least probably $200,000 worth of growth if you did not listen to me, use me, and actually buy in that actual suburb, because the market has moved quite substantially there. I was talking about that a fair while ago. But anyway, that's the inner east of Melbourne. Let's get into the inner south and southeast. So very wealthy buyers are coming back into the market, particularly strong demand along prestigious streets and the bayfront. So, I mean, this is really your most, I'd say, expensive part of the market, including some parts of the inner east, but particularly around your Albert Park, Middle Park, Chirac, Kooyong, that sort of area is genuinely your best parts of, should I say, the whole of Melbourne. There are quite wealthy people who buy here, and they're genuinely coming back in the market because they can see what's happening. Developers are back in the market too for the very tightly held development stock, and there's very strong demand also in walkable neighbourhoods in this area as well. So, I mean, that's kind of what's going on here. I mean, no surprises there. Like it's a very, very good market to buy, and just in saying that. So that's kind of what's going on there. There's also, should I say, great opportunity in village-like neighbourhoods, particularly by doing cosmetic and minor renovations. So what am I talking about? Your Windsors, probably your Balaclava, probably your St Kilda East. All of these areas are smaller lots, but I mean, you've got plenty of dwellings here that you can do little renovations to and make quite a lot of money by doing so. So that's another good opportunity in saying that. There's been quite strong results in Caulfield North, Elstonwick and Middle Park in the last month or two. There's been some quite substantial sales going above the $5 million mark in this time period. That's going to continue as well. What happens is, when you have some substantial sales, the higher end generally start to list their properties on the market, and it'll almost look like a massive bounce in the suburb median. And that's because the higher end of the market actually starts to list their properties. So that's really what's going on in the inner south and southeast in the Melbourne market at the moment. Let's get into the bayside of Melbourne. Now, easy thing to say is market is definitely past the 6 o'clock mark now in the bayside. So what's really going on here is that, I mean, the market itself, it did actually do fairly well in COVID times because of the ridiculous lockdowns in Melbourne. There's now very strong demand also in, should I say, bridesmaid suburbs and suburbs along transport lines here. Not all suburbs actually did well in that time. There's some that I've been mentioning that I'd say are great opportunities. Particularly original lots on 500 metres squared plus are doing well, and there's still great opportunities in these originals in bridesmaid suburbs. So, I mean, don't get fooled. These areas are very much so in demand. But people are noticing it now. There's some suburbs here that didn't do that much over that time that historically have done above 9.5% growth. So that's another thing just to notice in the bayside here. There's fierce competition sub $1.3 million. It's actually getting quite hard to find now in the bayside. I mean, I was picking up stuff, I kid you not, in like Bentley East for like $1.1 to $1.2 million. No kidding. Like maybe 6 to 12 months ago. Actually even 3 to be honest. So those are all gone. They don't exist anymore. You can still slide in just under 1.3 in the right suburb. Actually, you can buy it down towards 1.1 or so, but in a little bit of a worse suburb, but that's just kind of where the market's at. There's been strong sales similar to the inner southeast and south in Hampton, Brighton East and Moorabbin. Moorabbin is a suburb that I was mentioning quite a lot, saying it's very underpriced. It's still underpriced in my opinion, but it's not as underpriced as it was probably 3 to 6 months ago. It's because people caught on to that it was very underpriced and the opportunity that they could see in that market. So, I mean, that's kind of what's been going on in the bayside. Great opportunities still in that. I'd still consider buying there, to be honest, if you had the money. So that's kind of where we're at in the bayside. Look, to close up, the inner north is the final region that I do buy in still in Melbourne, and what's kind of going on there at the moment is it's further gentrifying from an upper to an upper middle class region. So parts of the inner north you could argue are working class and probably just standard, suburbs. They're definitely further gentrifying to upper middle class regions now. And developers and flippers are starting to re-enter the market. So I know a developer here that holds more than 30 blocks up here where he's just waiting for it to burst, and then he's going to start developing them all. So they're coming right back into the market, these guys. Stock above 300 meters squared in inner markets is doing well, and above 500 meters squared in outer suburbs is doing well as well. It's quite hard to find these, and there's quite a intense competition for that because people buying this know they can do quite a bit to them. Off-street parking again is in strong demand, and this is probably more so for your inner north suburbs. 3+ bedroom dwellings are becoming harder to source for reasonable prices. Families do like living here. But really what's going on is most of the dwellings are your standard two-bedders, and the ones that are on bigger blocks are being bought by developers and flipped into two by one bedroom townhouses or things similar to that, just with not enough real space for a family. So that's why they're in quite strong demand. The strong demand sub 1.2, it is very hard to find something good for under 1.2 in the suburbs I target very heavily. Mind you can still pick up stuff at around 900k in sort of the outer inner north. Easily, you can around 900k, or in the best streets, probably 950 if you're very lucky. But that's where it's kind of at. There's been some very strong results in Brunswick and Northcote lately. Brunswick East, should I say. Northcote's had a number of sales above 2 million. Brunswick East has had as well. What I'd say is as well, you're going to start to see suburbs like Heidelberg Heights and Heidelberg West. So that's in your probably outer part of your inner north, where you'll start to see the development lots start to sell for a lot more money because they're starting to develop them now. And there's actually quite a lot going on there. So expect probably my next Melbourne genuine market update to say possibly a Heidelberg Heights or Heidelberg West. Particular pockets have started to pick up a lot because a lot is starting to go on there as well.